Marcus Carlson joins me in the studio. Marcus, hello there. Very eventful day today in the international scene. What's the latest in the financial world?
Well, we're going to start with a bidding war that appears to be brewing in the French telecoms industry. Telecom shares, they were among the big winners during trading here in Paris this Thursday. It follows the news that Bouygues is in the race to buy rival mobile operator SFR. Investors, they seem to be betting on fewer actors in the French mobile industry looking ahead, and with that, higher profits. It's not a done deal just yet, though. Bouygues is going head-to-head with cable operator Numericable for SFR. Joe Tandy has more details.
2 offers, 2 visions, 1 target. Both vying for operator SFR, the bosses of Bouygues and Numericable locked in a bidding war that's likely to reshape the French telecoms market. On Wednesday, Bouygues unveiled its bid, €10.5 billion for SFR. Numericable's keeping its cards close to its chest, but holding company Altice is thought to have offered €11 billion for France's second biggest operator. Already number 3 in the sector, Bouygues has for many analysts the strongest bid. With an offer focused on the mobile phone market, Bouygues claims it'll make SFR worth €19 billion and find €10 billion in savings. Former owner Vivendi would retain 46% of the operator. On the downside, many fear the combined Bouygues-SFR would be too big. With a 42% market share, the telecoms giant would knock leader Orange off the top spot, meaning the new operator could run into trouble with France's competition watchdog. Numericable's offer focuses on internet services. The company claims its bid will value SFR at just under €15 billion, making €12 billion in savings and leaving Vivendi around a third of SFR's capital. Yet Numericable's a newcomer to the market, deemed by some analysts to lack Bouygues' credibility. With French unemployment high, the government is keeping a watchful eye on the deal. Bouygues says there'll be no forced departures, while Numericable argue they may even recruit. Both bidders want to convince Paris that they're mindful of SFR's 9,000 employees.
Now, Bouygues shares, they were up more than 6%, whereas shares in Numericable, they were down. And out of the French telecom operators, Orange saw the biggest pop in the stock market. Its shares, they were up more than 10% as the company reassured investors on its profits this year. Orange says it's sticking to its earnings forecast as a cost-cutting drive is on course. Analysts also say that their outlook on Orange is bullish. Now, that takes us to a look at the state of the markets in general, and we're going to start in Europe. Those telecom gains in Paris boosted the CAC 40, and it did better than its European peers, as you can see right here. The focus during the session in Europe was otherwise the European Central Bank, and we're going to look at that story in just a moment. Let's talk you through the United States this hour, though. Over in the US this hour, we're seeing gains across the board. Shares, they are higher as 323,000 people applied for jobless benefits for the first time in the United States last week. That's the lowest such figure that we've seen in 3 months' time, buoying the markets stateside. Now, investors, they're also digesting comments from the European Central Bank this Thursday. The ECB said it's keeping its benchmark interest rate on hold at 0.25%. It's also raised its growth forecast for the Eurozone to 1.2% this year. That's marginally higher than previously and a sign that the recovery is gaining ground in the Eurozone. ECB President Mario Draghi warned that there are still risks looking ahead, though, and he said the central bank would be ready to act if need be.
The risks surrounding the economic outlook for the euro area continue to be on the downside. Developments in global financial markets and in emerging market economies, as well as geopolitical risks, may have the potential to affect economic conditions negatively.
Now, here's another sign that the recovery in the Eurozone is gaining ground. Fresh figures show that unemployment in France dropped at the end of last year. The INSEE Institute says the jobless rate was 9.8% in the fourth quarter. That's 0.1% less than the previous 3-month period. The government welcomed the news, but analysts are more cautious. They say the improvement was mostly down to people stopping their search for work, which means that they dropped out of the statistics. That brings us to a few other stories that we're watching for you. There were clashes between police and protesters in Athens on Thursday. This as demonstrators tried to break through a police cordon at the finance ministry during a visit by Germany's president. The protest coincided with the news of a slight reduction in Greek unemployment to 27.5%. But the protesters say that they're not seeing any improvements in the economy. French bank BNP Paribas has suspended a senior currency trader. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. It says the suspension is part of a global investigation into currency manipulation. Regulators on both sides of the Atlantic are looking into claims of wrongdoing by banks. BNP Paribas has declined to comment on the news of the suspension. And South Africa has introduced rolling blackouts for the first time since 2008. The state-owned utility Eskom is calling on both businesses and domestic users to preserve energy. It's declared a power emergency after heavy rains left coal stockpiles too wet to use in its coal-fired power plants. OK, that is the business news for now. Thanks for watching, and it's back to you, Catherine.
Thanks very much indeed, Marcus Carlson there. Well, it's time now to catch up with the